All right, so I'm here, y'all. I have myself muted. Welcome, welcome, welcome on this awesome Wednesday. Welcome. Make sure you guys share this out. So, hello, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are winding down for this first season of Ladybird Live on Facebook. Today, I have my guest today is Miss Lynette Trawick. And let me tell you guys, so I remember when I met Lynette. I remember it very well because it was my first time going to Philadelphia, Delaware, that whole area. I can't even remember what city it was. She gonna tell me when we get on here what city in Delaware we were in. But I went to a speaking event in in Delaware for the AIDS Delaware organization, and I was a keynote speaker at this banquet. And I tell you, it was amazing. They do this banquet every year, and this was 2016. And not only did I meet Lynette, I was able to go on this trip. I have relatives in Philadelphia, so I was able to meet cousins for the first time. So this trip actually meant a lot to me. But I just remember after speaking, and people coming up to me and saying things to me, I remember Lynette coming up to me. Like I remember that so much. And ever since then we've been connected. I've been watching her grow. When I say grow, I'm like, y'all know I've been doing this for a while, but Lynette jumped into this arena of advocacy, and baby girl has not slowed down at all. And I'm amazed every time I watch her, every time that she makes a post or she shares things with her about her family. Cause I'm gonna let her share, but she has a blended family. Listen, y'all remember that story? There was an old lady who lived in a shoe. She had so many kids, she didn't know what to do. Look, she over there laughing. Yes. But it's so amazing to just watch the dynamics of everything that goes on in her household and how they love on each other, how they have fun. And it's just so amazing. So I'm gonna bring Lynette on. Let me get you over here unmuted, girl. Hey, hey.
I was over here cracking up.
I know. Look, yes, because every time I see like 10 what? Kids.
11. Okay.
Well, yeah, 11. Like, wait a minute. How many? Because I
Yeah.
know the first thing when you tell people I have 11 kids, the first thing they say, you had all of them? Like,
Uh-huh.
that's the first question. Because at first I was like, wait a minute. She had that many kids? Oh, she
hmm
looked good, you know. So thank you for coming on here. Where were we at in Delaware? What's
We
that?
were in Wilmington, Delaware.
Yes,
Yeah.
Wilmington, Delaware. How did I forget that? Okay, yeah. So we were in Wilmington, Delaware. And I remember that you came up to me and you were like kind of shy. Now it's like, shy where? Ain't
Yeah.
nothing shy about this lady right here, y'all. Nothing. Nothing
Yeah.
is shy about her. So go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do, and then just go ahead and dive right into your story of how you were diagnosed, because I have heard it, but I want them to hear it, and I'm going to sit here and listen again, and my facial expression is going to be all over the place. Yo,
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember that day very fondly. What you said? You said that was 2016.
it was. Yep.
Wow. That's crazy. But yeah, I was starting to like stick my big toe a little bit into advocacy at that time, still trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do, what side God was calling me to and all that good stuff, because you hear about advocacy, but that word is so big, right? And sometimes you can like over get into it and get in over your head sometimes because you want to help everybody. Oh, HIV. You said HIV, I'm
Right.
going over there to help you too. So yeah, I was still trying to figure it all out at that time. But that was so that was 2016. That was 8 years after my diagnosis. Um, so I was diagnosed in 2008, November 2008, and it was tough. I was 26 years old. I was a single mom. At the time, I was a single mom of two. I had, my son, my first son and my first daughter. And how do you at 26 explain a diagnosis to whoever? I was dating, so that was before my marriage. Um, I was working, I was in school, I was doing a lot. I was still partying, all of that stuff. So it's like HIV don't fit into my life. I mean, who's like, does it actually fit into? But with the image that we know is out there regarding HIV, I didn't see myself being impacted ever. I never really had to pay attention to those conversations because those conversations didn't involve me, didn't have nothing to do with me. Um, so unfortunately, I contracted it through a relationship I was in, domestic violence relationship. I was, being abused in every sense of the word: financial, physical, sexual. He was out being promiscuous. He was out doing his thing with whoever he wanted to do it with. And I didn't have the mental capacity, the mental strength to leave this relationship. So I stuck around. I stuck around through 3 STIs prior to HIV. Um, but like I said before, I was stuck mentally. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel strong enough to leave this relationship. So I went on throughout time, of course, dealing with the diagnosis, dealing with life. How do you navigate these conversations with whoever you were dating? How do you navigate the conversations with whoever you may potentially date in the future? Do I tell in the beginning? Do I wait a little bit? Do I tell them later? What do I know about HIV? Do I break down and cry when I'm telling them? Do I not? So it was so much involved in that. And I remember sharing my story with one woman, and she said to me, she said, well, I have an annual event. I would love for you to come and share your story. I was like, no. Talk about me and my HIV in front of all them people that you talking about supposed to be at this event? No, ma'am. So I ducked and dodged her until after the event passed. The following year, she asked me again. I still said I was still a little iffy. I told her no initially. And that same year, this was 2012, I went to the AIDS Walk in Philadelphia. And at the AIDS Walk, several people were being interviewed, asking why you walk. Hey, good to see you out here today. Why are you walking? What's your purpose? And people like, oh yeah, my brother, my mom, my dad, whatever. And he came to me, and you ever heard of the term you heard of the term diarrhea of the mouth, right? And just the stuff just started coming out. It was
Right.
diarrhea of the mouth for me. And it was like, oh yeah, because I'm walking for myself and I was diagnosed. And mind you, I had never publicly shared my diagnosis. I don't know who this man is and what newspaper, website, nothing. The following day, I started getting text messages. Hey girl, I saw this article online. Said something about, I was like, wait a minute, you saw what, where? And this is Philly.com. Okay. So this was the
Oh,
Philadelphia
I know
Inquirer,
all about that website.
like
Right.
whole big news, everything that everybody sees from professional to non-professional. Like, so I scrolled, I looked at the article, and there was everything that I said. So I chose to use that as the beginning of my advocacy. I chose to use that kind of as a springboard to disclosure. I started sending that link out to people who I cared about, who I wanted to disclose to, but I couldn't figure out the words because here I am 4 years later after my diagnosis, and it wasn't a lot of people that knew. So I started sending it out to different people. Hey, read this. That's all I said. And they would read it and then they would call me or they won't call me or whatever it is. I'll just face the whatever it is after that.
Right.
Easiest way for me to disclose my status to whoever I needed to disclose to. So, moving forward, like I said, just trying to figure out exactly what it was that I wanted to do with advocacy. I figured, okay, I want to help teenagers. Okay, no, I want to help women. Okay, I want to help women and teens. Okay, I want to help everybody. How
I
about
want to
let's
have the
help
world.
like when you get into advocacy, you're just so excited and so wanting
Like
to help
everybody, come on,
everybody,
the whole
okay?
flock of you.
And I got in a little over my head initially, but I love how it's been developing, and I appreciate your words when you say that you've been watching the journey, kind of watching things take place and me feeling my way through what it is that I want my nonprofit IMU to look like. So I started IMU in 2017, and with a strong focus on cisgender women living with HIV. Because I found that, like I said, going back to when I was initially diagnosed, I didn't see women who looked like me, and I'm
Right.
sure you can relate to that. And a lot of other women who
Yeah.
look like us, cisgender Black women, say the same thing. I actually just met a woman a couple of weeks ago who said she's been living with HIV since same year, 2008, and she said, "You're the first person that I've ever had a conversation with who looks like me." Here we are, almost
Wow.
15 years later. So
Right.
I chose to definitely focus on us, and to serve us, and to give women like us hope, because we it's a different demographic. We have different needs. Now I'm finding myself looking more closely at Black women living with HIV, because even with that, it's a completely different demographic. So while I still
Right.
serve all women, there's a very heavy focus within IMU on serving Black women who are living with HIV. So that's a little bit about me, in addition to being a wife and a mom of 11. My favorite roles. So
Yes.
yeah.
So you guys, I have the website scrolling across the bottom, imuinc.org. So you guys can go to the website, take a look around, see all the amazing stuff that she's doing in the community. If you have questions while you're watching this video right now and you want Lynette to answer questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you're on Facebook or YouTube watching, you will see the questions. Hello everybody. Hey Miss Catherine. Hey you guys. I see someone says I'm new watching Lady Bird after I watched the video that her daughter posted. You both are so inspirational and strong. I wanted to know if you lost friends and family after you disclosed your status. This is for both of you, if you don't mind sharing. So I'll let you answer that first.
Sure, I can share. I did not lose any family. I would say that I gained family as a result of disclosing. Um, Regarding friendships, some friendships shifted. I can say that I lost some friends. It was hard at the time, but I can look back now and understand that they weren't supposed to be part of this journey. If HIV was the reason that you decided to leave me alone and not be friends with me anymore, you weren't meant to be part of this journey, and that's okay. And I'm still gonna pray for you, and keep you in good wishes and all of that kind of stuff. So, yes, some friends, but definitely, it also drew some friends closer and helped them to become more like family for me.
Yeah, I think for me that's kind of the same thing with me. Family, not so much. I mean, my family's always been there. They look at me no different than before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, friends, there were a couple that, I would talk to on a regular basis. Like there was even one girl, she was actually a bridesmaid in my wedding
Mm-hmm.
when I got married to my
Mm-hmm.
ex-husband who infected me. And afterwards, like it was
Yeah.
this whole like thing of, I don't know. And we saw each other afterwards, and it was more, cordial. Hey, how you doing? And that was really it. It was never like it was before. Like I used to go
Right.
over her house, have game nights, parties, different things. It was never like that anymore. So yeah, friends, I think because friends come and go, but family is always there.
Yep.
That's how I see it. So that's
Yep.
why I think that and someone said they weren't friends from the beginning. Yeah, I feel like that a little bit, like, because I feel like if you're my friend, no matter what I'm presented with and what I go through, you're going to be my friend through it all,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah, and
even
I and
now,
I think and I think
yeah,
that's just life's journey anyway. We had to, and we outgrow each other sometimes too. So there are some that I know were definitely friends for that season in my life. But then we both
yeah,
outgrew each other. We were walking this way together, but then I decided to go this way, and you didn't want to go that way, and that's okay. So I still love you. We may never ever talk again, but it's okay. It's that's life. That's just how it goes.
yeah, yeah. So now my question, you know it's going to be a question.
Yes.
So, when you met your husband,
Hmm.
I need the deets on that because, you know. you had your kids, he had his kids. Yeah, this like
Yes.
we need to be, yeah. So how did you meeting him? How did you first? How did you disclose? Because I know, like you say, sometimes you will send people the article. Like I've done that before when I date. Like when people approach me about wanting to date me or something, I'd be like, "Well, I need you to look at something." And I'll just
Uh-huh.
find one of my Google things and send it
Yeah.
to him, and then wait and see. So how was that with him? Did you tell him? Well, how did that go?
So funny thing. So it's funny how God works. I knew we met each other a month prior to my diagnosis. So I was diagnosed November 2008. We technically met October 2008 because we both hung out in like a spoken word venue in Philly. So I'm from Philly, currently living in Baltimore County. Moved here about 2 years ago. But when we were in Philly, we both kind of like hung out all the time in, spoken word, in the spoken word scene. So we kind of unofficially met there. A month later, I was diagnosed, but we weren't official friends yet. We spoke every once in a while, maybe on social media, seeing each other on people's posts and stuff like that. Mind you, like I said, this was 2008, so social media wasn't like
Right.
a huge thing like it is now.
Yeah.
2009, he put up a post about something about his daughter's hair. At the time, I was doing hair. I was actually aspiring to open a salon, which is still something I want to do in the future. But aspiring to open a natural hair salon. So I saw the post and I commented. I said, "Well, hey, I do hair. You can bring your daughter to me." That's kind of how our friendship started developing because now he was bringing his daughter every 2 weeks to get her hair done. So conversations were happening, but no, what do you call, no romantic interest at all. He
Yeah.
was dating people, I was dating people. It was life was just going on, and I was just the daughter's hairdresser. Then we became friends, and then over time we became best friends. So from 2008 all the way to 2013, we were friends. And in 2012, when that article was released that I told you about, he was one of the people that I sent that article to. So he didn't even find
Oh.
out my diagnosis until 2012. And we
Oh
didn't
wow.
begin dating until 2013. So he knew through that text message, and he has been one of the biggest supporters. He started coming to the doctor's office with me, asking questions there, um, encouraging me to do all of the things that I wanted to do because I used to come to him and tell him about, of course, after I disclosed to him, I used to tell him how I felt so stifled in my purpose. I knew that God was calling me to help people somehow with HIV, but I wasn't allowed to do that in the relationships that I was in. So he started encouraging me. Oh, you want to write a book? Write a book. You want to start a
Wow.
nonprofit? Start a nonprofit. You want to speak? Go speak. Do all of the things that you've been wanting to do. I was so scared in the beginning because I thought that me talking so much about HIV was going to be a reflection of him, and people were
Right.
then going to attack him. But that was also something that he helped me to overcome. It was like, I'm not worried about the people. You do what you're supposed to do. I'm here. We here. We got this. So June 2013, we actually just celebrated. If y'all follow me on
Yeah,
social
I did.
media, we
Yeah, those
we
those two
celebrated.
pictures. I
It was our
saw
it was our go together versary. So June 19th, 2013 is when our relationship officially began, and then the following year, January 1st on New Year's Day, we got married. So we dated for 6 months and got married. Um, and now we got. I saw in the comments the Trawick bunch. Yeah, so now we have his, mine, and ours. Big blended family of 11. So yeah, that's our the quick version of our story.
I love that. Look, and y'all were friends for so long before, like you say, like that article came out. Y'all had already been friends about 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
Doing his daughter's hair and stuff like that. So that makes
Yep.
it easier.
Yeah.
That makes it so much easier. Because again, you were just friends then. You weren't pursuing a relationship, and he approached it as a friend. Like we were just talking
Yeah.
about how friends are there and they go with you on that journey, because he didn't have to go with you to the doctor. He didn't
Right.
have to do any of those things, but he chose to as a friend to show he cared. So
Yeah. And that was kind of my
that's
mentality when
amazing.
I sent the article. I was like, look, he's just my friend. I mean, like we're friends, so it's gonna hurt if he does leave me alone because of this. But like it wasn't a huge deal because we weren't in a relationship, you know. Um, so it's just like, here, read this. He was
Right.
upset. It's funny because like he tells me that he was upset too because he feels like our friendship was a lot closer and I could have disclosed to him a while before that or disclosed to him in a different way, but he also understands why I did it the way that I did it, you know.
Yeah, that was what I was getting ready to say too. I was gonna ask that, like, how did he feel? Because you had been friends that long. Because I think when I look at my story, my situation, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, dude, like we were friends so long, you could have just told me.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
I felt. So that's why that was gonna really be my next question. Like, did he feel like because y'all were friends? But you answered that. So
yeah.
yeah, and I get it. I get it. But again, now he know 11 kids later.
Yep.
Look, years later, we
Yes,
here.
yes.
So share with everybody some of the things you've been doing because I know you get on TikTok, and you post on TikTok, Facebook. I'm gonna put those not yeah, Facebook too, and Instagram. So I'm gonna make sure I put those in the comments. So if you guys want to follow Lynette on social media, I'll get those links posted. But just share with everybody some of the things that you've been doing, some of the acclimates that you've gained because you've been getting awards. You've been like I've been like I told you, like I said, I am so freaking proud of everything that I see. Every time you post a new thing, I'm scrolling. Oh, wait a minute. Ooh, let me heart that. And
Thank you.
yes, because it's amazing. Because you know, a lot of times we don't get that type of recognition.
Yeah,
You know, I can tell you right now, full transparency, I ain't ever got an award. So
yeah.
you are killing it.
Thank
Like
you.
I'm gonna move somewhere where I can get me an award. That's what I'm gonna do.
You know what I think though? I think once we find our niche, once we figure out exactly what it is that we want to do and exactly how we want to serve, because I spent so many years um deciding how I wanted to be an advocate based on what other people were doing. So I wasn't operating within my gift. I wasn't operating within my purpose that God gave me. I just wanted to be an advocate. I just want to help people. So I had to take time and sit still and really listen to what God wanted me to do with it. So I make
Right.
sure that I incorporate God in everything I do. A lot of things, a lot of my events are enveloped in scripture. So whether you see the scripture on the outside or I've prayed on it before the event, it's enveloped in scripture. Beyond My Diagnosis is IMU's annual event, and it's a faith-based event. I may not advertise it as a faith-based event, but when you come, you feel it. You feel
Gonna
the
get a
presence, you
little
feel the
bit
Holy
of
Spirit.
it, yeah.
You're gonna get something. And people know me. People know that any space that I'm in, the Holy Spirit is in. So you're gonna get it whether you like it or not. So I think that once I found that, and once I found out that I wanted to focus on women, moms, children who are impacted by HIV. So, direct impact. So parents with kids. How do my kids feel when I'm speaking out about it? How does my spouse, my significant other feel when I'm speaking out about it? So once I decided that that was my focus, that's when I felt that people started recognizing, okay, she has something a little different, because we are all different. There's so many advocates out here, but like I said, the thing is to focus on what you're specifically being called to, because when you
Right.
have a heart to serve, you do want to help everybody, but the reality is you just can't. um so yes, I have gotten several awards. I hate elevating myself, so I'm really not gonna go through the list of stuff. um but there is an event coming up soon through the Positive Women's Network, PWN, and I'm being highlighted as one of the trailblazers. So you guys can check out their website. I'll probably post some of that stuff. So soon, I don't even post like when an award is coming, because I know when I'm being honored and stuff like that. But I never even it just feels so weird. But
Right.
I know in 2018, I got the Mary J. Blige Award for perseverance and something else I can't think of right now. But So yeah, so I just make sure, like I said, whenever I'm on a stage, I always lift up the name of God, because without Him, I would not be able to do any of the things that I'm doing right now. Because as you know, this road is tough. These
Yeah.
HIV streets ain't nice.
At
And I
all.
have been knocked down and knocked upside my head a couple of times and wanting to quit and sat in the corner and cried and all of that kind of stuff. But by the grace of God, I've been able to continue and persevere. Um, my husband and I, we volunteer at a camp called Camp Bright Feathers every summer. It's 1 week in the summer, overnight, for children who are impacted by HIV. So some of the children may have been diagnosed with HIV, and some are just directly impacted. So, like I was saying earlier, parents have been diagnosed with HIV, siblings, different things like that. Um,
Right.
Thankfully, recently we've actually been able to open it up to a bigger demographic, because the number of children who are being diagnosed with HIV are decreasing. So we started
Right.
focusing on community violence as well. So it's a free camp for children. Right now we are super packed with kids, so we always need volunteers. It's in Medford, New Jersey. So if you're in that area, anyone, and you are looking to volunteer for a week overnight, definitely reach out to me and let me know. What else have I done? I have an event coming up here in Baltimore County called Digging Up the Dirt. It's for moms with their teenage
Ooh,
daughters. Yeah, we're gonna be digging up some dirt, literally
digging
and
up the
figuratively.
dirt.
Digging up the
Mm-mm.
dirt, literally. And I do HIV. One thing that I do love about my advocacy and the way that I do prevention is very different. People tend to shy away from HIV events, right? Like if I go out into the
Yeah,
community and say, "Hey, I'm having this HIV event, bring your children." "Hey, I'm having this HIV event, teenage child, why don't you come and bring your mom?" They're like, no. So I do HIV prevention differently. We have these fun events where you still gonna get some of this HIV prevention stuff. We're gonna talk about you know what it is that you may be interested in, what self-worth, what self-esteem, why do you do some of the things you do. Let's open ourselves up and be a little more transparent, so that we can
right.
have these conversations and eliminate some of these new diagnoses. So Digging Up the Dirt is coming up on July 8th. So again, if you're in the Baltimore County area, you're definitely welcome to attend with a teenage girl that you are close to. We're always looking for donations and sponsors as well. So you can look on my website for all of that information. What else is coming? Oh, I have my book that I released last year, From
Yeah.
Diagnosis to Destiny, which is on Amazon, and as well. I prefer you get it from my website, because then that way you can get it autographed and I ship it out personally to you.
Yes, make sure
But it
you
is
get.
available on Amazon as well. If you just can't wait and want to get it quick, but it won't be signed. So, I prefer you get it from the website.
Look, I'm going to the
So,
website right now to get the link.
yes, yes. So it is. You'll find that link and all that information on there. So yeah,
It's on your IMU.
yeah. If you scroll somewhere on my, actually no, you know what,
Oh,
LynetteTrawick.com. But you
okay.
can see a link on there for all of that as well. But LynetteTrawick.com, the book is on there. I do see a comment.
Yeah, I saw a couple
Do you have to
questions.
be?
So,
Do you have to have HIV to volunteer? No, you do not have to have HIV to volunteer at the camp. Anyone and
and then I
everyone is
saw
welcome.
one further up too. So, Rasta Safari, nice, interesting name, by the way. um, if a person has HIV or have AIDS or HIV, how are you able to have kids without spreading it to them? Because I have a classmate whose mother was HIV positive before her passing, but he doesn't have it.
Mhm.
So I'll let you answer that.
So the goal for everyone who's living with HIV is to be undetectable, or at least as close to undetectable as possible, because it is an understanding that not everyone can achieve an undetectable viral load. Um, So undetectable means that you have an extremely low trace of HIV in your system. And when you are undetectable, you are untransmittable sexually to anyone. So you cannot transmit HIV sexually to anyone. And it does significantly decrease the chances to less than 1% of transmission from mother to child. So that's how we are still able to have children. That's why they do the testing during pregnancy. Um, to make sure that the mother is not living with HIV. So that's why it's a lot less cases now of children being born with HIV, as long as, they go for prenatal care. And that's why it's such a big push for that as well, for prenatal care, to make sure that you eliminate any possibilities of anything, not just HIV. They can catch things early and be able to, take care of all of that. And now, even even more exciting to me, one of the most recent, some of the most recent research, mothers or people living with HIV who are, these terms jack me up sometimes, so I'm just going to say it the way that I know. Um, moms who are living with HIV and who have babies, they are able to breastfeed now. So the CDC has now started putting out that information, which is super exciting because I hate that when I pick up my bottle of medication, it says all of that. Do not breastfeed all on
Right.
it.
Shout out
You
to
know,
CC.
shout
CC
out,
did
shout out to
that.
CC. Yes, my girl CC. That's one of my best friends and another advocate as well. Really was, a headliner when it comes to a lot of that work. Antoinette is another one who did a lot of that work as well when it comes to breastfeeding.
Yes.
Heather, what's her last name? Oria, I think it is.
Well,
So,
yeah.
those three I really, really admire and I look up to when it comes to, that fight, because it was definitely a fight. I was there personally with Cece when she got pregnant and made the decision to breastfeed and all of the challenges that surrounded that. And I remember in my earlier years, part of my advocacy was going out teaching people why they can't breastfeed. So it was just so crazy how
Right.
now that flipped, and to see the research and see the changes that are happening now is super exciting. So Cece, I know, successfully breastfed for, it was either 7 or 9 months. I think it was 7 months successfully breastfed, and her daughter is happy and healthy. She'll be two
Right.
soon. She'll be two in September, and she is HIV negative. So we out here
Yeah.
doing what we do.
Right. And look, it's a lot of stuff we changing now. Cause look, you know how stronghold I was with that U equals U. I was like,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
yes, yes.
I was like, hold on. You want me to tell these people what? And now it's like, okay, this is what it is. So,
Yeah,
that's what happens. Things evolve and they change and
yes.
improve. And so us as advocates, we gotta
You got to
go with
stay
the
up on it.
change. We gotta
And you know
stay up
what?
on
That's basically like, remember they used to say treatment as prevention. It ain't
it.
nothing but treatment as prevention, just with better language now, because with treatment as
Right.
prevention used to be, oh yeah, you lessen the chances and that kind of language.
Exactly.
Now with U equals U is so much more freeing because a person living with HIV can say, I'm undetectable, and because I'm undetectable, I cannot transmit HIV sexually to a partner. So,
Right.
that's super empowering, and it helps so much when it comes to disclosure as well. Because now I can disclose and add U equals U into that instead of just having to say, oh yeah, well, because I'm undetectable, it lessens the chances. No, like it's zero chance. You can't contract HIV because I'm
Yeah.
undetectable. So, and
All right. So
that's how my husband has been able to stay HIV negative as well. You know.
yes. All right. So another question I saw in the comments from Lenora wants to know, where's the person who infected you, Miss Trawick?
I don't know. I did my due diligence. I contacted. There's a hotline available. I believe it's through the health departments, that you can reach out to the health department if you have been diagnosed with HIV, and you
Hey
can tell them
Daniel.
here it. You can tell them, oh look, there's the husband. You can reach out to the health department and you can tell them, hey, listen, these are the people who I need notified. And the health department will do that work anonymously. So they'll reach out to people and say, hey, you need to go get tested. So that's what I did, and that's why I always, and little not side note, but not side note, he also never admitted to living with HIV. So, but
Mm,
based on time frames and all of that stuff,
yeah.
I know where I contracted it. But that's why I always tell everyone, go get tested before being sexually active with someone. Have those conversations, because I know they're uncomfortable conversations, but they're necessary conversations. You know,
Right.
make that the first date. Come on, boo, let's go to the clinic before we go out to dinner.
Yes.
Like, and get it out the way, and it is what it is, so, but that can you it would at least be an informed decision, rather than the two of you going into it blindly. I don't want to see no
Yeah.
papers. I don't want to see no screenshot from your doctor. I don't want to see none of that. Let's go
Look,
ahead together,
right
because
here in the office.
technology is too amazing these days, and I can probably go in here and finagle some stuff and show you a fake negative status too. No, we won't go
Mm,
together. I need to see your facial expression when you come on about this room.
right, that
Let's sit
part.
together, huh? Because
Right. And I think that's what really bothers me now. Cause you know how you watch, so think of like movies we watched in like the 90s and early 2000s that were a lot of sexualized movies or movies
yeah,
that, they just jump right into the bed. Now here I am, 40 years old, watching this movie, like, I know this fool and just have sex and don't know nothing. Like that's how my mind operates now.
yeah,
Cause I know now that I'm in this whole world and I have this knowledge and this understanding, it's like, wait a minute. So
yeah,
it's like they really are presenting it to the world in that way. Like, just go on and have a little sex with them. It ain't gonna matter. But
yeah,
what matters is the after effects of what you just did. And they
yeah.
don't realize that. And a lot of people don't correlate the two. They just think, oh, it's just a one night stand. What's the
Mm-hmm.
worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a lot can be the
A
worst
whole
that
lot.
can.
And I think people don't
Yeah.
even think. I think they think of HIV, and that's like one of the only. It's like I don't want HIV and I don't want to get pregnant. Oh, there's a whole lot more out there, honey.
Right.
It's
So
a
you
whole
are like right. So what you're saying is you okay with a little gonorrhea, a little
right.
syphilis, a little
It's a
herpes.
whole lot more that I'd rather have HIV before I have all that other stuff. Like
Right. Yeah.
so we'll talk about that stuff. And it's like people are living with HIV, so it's like okay, I disclose my status to you, but it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way
Yeah.
street. Okay, I told you what I'm dealing with. Okay, what you got going on?
Right.
So that it's a two-way street. It's just not about, and that's one of the heartbreaking things too. With advocacy, I hear a lot of women talking about, how yeah, I disclosed to him and now I'm going to stay with him and deal with all of this stuff because he accepted my diagnosis. And I was one, like I
Mhm.
dealt with that same mess too. He accepted my diagnosis, so I stayed. No, that's not nothing to be accepted. Like that's just a part of who you are, just like everything else is a part of who you are. He's supposed to love
Right.
you along with all that stuff. Just like no,
Yeah.
I
See, that was me with my second marriage. That when I married the second time, I thought it was rainbows and skittles and all that, and it was like, girl, come
mm-hmm.
and get this storm real quick. So I definitely understand that part.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to and stop. Another thing I always tell people: stop relying on the other person's test. Like you
yes,
just because you sent him to go get tested and he come back and say I'm good, you still need to go get checked yourself
yeah,
because even though that person could go and say they're good, what about the person that you slept with before this person that could
yeah,
have given you something like herpes that might not always show itself immediately?
mm-hmm.
Things like that. So that's why it's so important for both of y'all to go see
Mm-hmm.
the paper. Look, y'all
So
know
then,
my biggest mistake. I ain't see the paper. Go see the
mm-hmm.
paper
And then too
in the
on that same
office.
note,
Not that they brought it home to you. Go
yeah,
see it right there, fresh out the print. I need to ink the
right.
smudge a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And then too, like on that same note, he may be negative or she may be negative, but you could potentially be positive and just not transmitted it to the person. Y'all may just not have done
Exactly.
it enough. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it just might not have been that one time where it could have potentially happened, but you still walking around not even knowing what's going on in your own body. And like I said, plus
yeah,
HIV is not the only thing that you should be worried about. And that's another point too. When we go and get these panel tests done, STI tests, STD tests, all of that kind of stuff, sometimes we have to specifically ask for HIV and herpes because that's not
yeah.
included in all of the panels. So we go and we think, oh yeah, we good because we got tested, we got a whole panel done. Yeah, but they're not all doing HIV tests, they're not all doing herpes tests,
Right.
and especially if you're somewhere and you're with a provider who does not feel like you're part of the impacted population.
Mhm.
So like
Right.
women, they don't feel like are an impacted population, especially in certain
Mhm.
areas. So they're not. Some you may even ask for HIV tests, and they might be like, "Well, what you need that for?" So now you
Right.
feel
They
weird
will.
about even asking. Like, you know what? Never mind. You go somewhere
Yeah.
and say what you need that for. Run to the next place. Okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of women assume that all of this is being done when they get their annual pap smears, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not. They
Yep.
assume, oh, I had my pap smear. My pap smear came back normal. Normal for
Yep.
what though? Because if they didn't test you for all these different things, then you still don't know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's important to definitely, if you want to be tested for these different things, you have to specify it. And like she said, if the doctor says to you, oh well, you don't need to have that done, you don't need this or that, next doctor, hello, how you doing, I
Right.
need this. Until you get a doctor who is willing to do what it is you're
Mm-hmm.
asking. If you got to go to the health department and
Yep.
have it done, then do that, but
Mm-hmm.
never let anybody make you feel like, oh, something's wrong with you for wanting to be checked.
Yeah. Look, and if you're still scared, reach out to an advocate. Reach out to one of us, because one thing that I know a lot of people have done in the past will reach out to me, hey, I want to get tested, but I'm scared. I've gone with several people to, go with them to go get tested. Let's normalize it. Girl, we're gonna go get tested, and we'll go get some lunch.
Right.
It's really not that serious. So we gotta work on normalizing it. So if that's your situation too, even if you're not in our area, we could potentially find somebody that's in your area to help you out with that, because I know that's a very personal thing, it's a scary, it can be a scary thing, but start normalizing that conversation around that too.
Yeah. So another question I want to ask you, because I know you do have your children, and
Hmm.
so one of the questions I want to know, as far as with your kids, like their friends, especially your older kids, when it comes to like how they interact with their friends, or what you're noticing in their age groups, are you noticing, um, like their friends are having a trend oh, there you go, where a lot of them are not getting the information, because I know a lot of the parents are, they either don't know it to talk to their kids, or they just are shy or afraid to talk to their kids about it for fear, oh, if I talk to them about it, they're going to go do it, not realizing talking to them about it can actually prevent them from doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
So how are you seeing this play out amongst your kids' friends, and just, any other kids or teenagers you're around in general?
Well, I know with Daniel and I, my husband and I, we try to, not we try, we're very transparent when it comes to our journeys, the things we've been through when we were teenagers, the impact of a lot of our decisions, especially when we didn't consult with God first before we decided to do something. We talk a lot about that. We're very public. Our social media pages are public. Our kids often come to us and say, somebody sent us another post that y'all put up, because we'll post something and their friends will screenshot crazy pictures of them and send it back to them and all of that. So they know, they know different things. And yes, we do hear a lot of things because I do a lot of work with the youth as well. We both do, all from when we were living in Philly all the way to where we are now. We work a lot with the youth. So we hear a lot of the stories, so we just try our best to continue to be transparent, continue to share the things that we know, and also not only focusing on the current HIV diagnosis, because
Right.
we all know that it didn't start with HIV. There were some things that happened way before that then ended in an HIV result. Right, like my HIV journey didn't start in 2008. It started all the way back from childhood when I was dealing with self confidence and self esteem issues, watching the wrong things, listening to the wrong things,
Right.
not realizing that I need to guard every portal that goes into my body, every my ears, my nose, like we're supposed to guard all of those things. So I didn't realize that growing up, and when I say growing up, I mean even in my 20s. I didn't realize all of that. So all of that was impacting life, which then resulted in an HIV diagnosis. So
Right.
that's why I approach prevention the way that I do, because it's like we're not just going to sit here and talk about HIV. Let's talk about these boys that you decide to talk to. Let's talk about these girls that you decide to talk to. Let's talk about these crowds that you're choosing to hang out with. Let's talk about some of those decisions that you're choosing to make. And that's how we're going to talk. That's how we're going to do HIV prevention, because that's what I needed back then, which would have then helped to prevent me from being in that relationship and sticking around in that relationship that I shouldn't have been in. But because I didn't value myself enough, I stayed in it. So let's build up the youth. Let's build them up and give them the tools and everything that they need, and give them the information that they need, help to build up their self-esteem and their self-confidence, and build them up in Christ, and helping them to understand that they are treasures, right? And that their bodies are temples. So then that way, once they do grow up, hopefully they'll make better decisions, or at least they'll have the knowledge around making better
Right. Yeah.
decisions. Hopefully they'll have the knowledge
Absolutely.
and the wisdom and not just have the knowledge somewhere stuck in their back pocket.
All right. So, all right, let's see. I'm looking at
Yeah, they
conversations in
going
the
crazy in
chat.
this comment section. I can't even keep
Look, I
it.
know.
I love it
Look,
though.
Rasta say, look, my body, look, some people don't know their bodies. They think they know their bodies. But yeah, I tell people all the time, like, you got to know your body. If you feel a certain kind of
Yeah.
way, if you feel this, like me, I could tell every little thing. If I get a pinch here or this, that, I already know what it is. It's
Hmm.
about like tuning into yourself a lot of
Yeah.
times. And
But you
then
know
like,
what? But even with that though, so I know my body and I knew my body back then and I knew something wasn't right. So I was diagnosed in November 2008. March of 2008, I was so sick, but I was always a very healthy person, like got a cold here and there. March 2008, I was like blacking out sick. Wound up going to the emergency
mm,
room, and the main hospital. No, I went to the doctor. I went to urgent care. The main hospital was across the street. I couldn't walk across the street. They literally had to get an ambulance to get me from here to take me across the street because I
wow.
was so weak. They wound up diagnosing me with strep throat, the flu, a stomach virus. I was dehydrated, and my blood pressure was low.
Oh,
They only
wow.
treated those things. So yes, I knew something was wrong, but my brain didn't go to HIV because that doesn't exist in my world.
Yeah.
HIV doesn't impact 26-year-old Black women, is what I thought. So that wasn't even a piece of a thought. Okay, y'all give me medicine for all of this other stuff. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna get better. And then that's it. It took me 2 months to get better. So from March till about April, May, I was sick. And then I wasn't diagnosed until November. But by then I was feeling much better. I just went
Yeah.
in November as a part of my annual exam.
Yeah. And I'm kind of glad you just said what you said too. Like in your world, it didn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
at being a cisgender black woman,
Mm-hmm.
26 years old. Because a lot of people late, my daughter did this whole TikTok video. And in that video, she said something because my diagnosis was 2007. And in her talking, she was saying how, around this time, people were looking at this as homosexual gay disease,
Mm-hmm.
and people were coming at her crazy like, what do you mean this is? But you just almost kind of confirmed that a little bit, because a
Yep.
lot of people really, even in 2008, 2007, and sometimes even now, people still look at HIV and AIDS as, oh no, this can't happen to me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gay, or
Yeah.
I'm not
It's a
in
gay
the L,
disease. It's a dirty disease.
yeah, they
You can only
they
get it
don't
from
they
sleeping
don't
around.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they still look at it that way.
yeah.
And you guys have to remember that even though you might have the knowledge to know otherwise, there are still people out here who don't even know the basic, like, acronyms of what HIV or AIDS even stands for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't even know that.
Yeah.
They don't even know anything.
Or how
So
it's
we always have,
contracted.
yeah,
There's still people.
yeah,
I spoke to a woman who was positive for 20 years, and she told me that she hadn't been in a pool ever since because she doesn't want anybody else to get it. It's like,
wow, the pool,
what?
girl, what?
So you've been living your life all this time thinking that you can give it to somebody by getting in the same pool as them?
Yeah, there's
So it's
people I know who scared to have sex, and they done been diagnosed 30 years. They're like, nah, I don't want to do that.
mm-hmm.
Ma'am, I'm sorry.
I'm like, I'm sorry to hear
So
that.
sorry.
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
it's what's out there, it's what's portrayed. Like even right now, when we look at a lot of these commercials, like it's getting slightly better, but when we look at a lot of these commercials, they don't look like us. They
right,
still look like the same people they look like 10, 15, 20 years ago on a lot of the commercials. Like I said, some are getting better. However, the
right.
demographic on these commercials and the ads and things like that, a lot of it is still the same. So it's not
Yeah,
even just the general public that's sparking these thought processes. It's the stuff that we're still seeing. When you think about movies that
right.
highlight HIV and things like that, you see gay white men, you see the black women who have contracted it were sex workers or drug users or they got it in prison, or so it's like no, I'm not none of those. So it's not going to impact me, right? And
Yeah.
that's the perception that people get.
Yeah. And the crazy part is even when they do see it happen, they still like, nah, she got to have
Make an
got it from
exception to
like,
the rule.
oh, he must have was down low. Oh, he must
Yes.
have like they still take it back to that. I'm like, why couldn't it just be that this woman got it from a heterosexual man who got it
Hmm.
from a heterosexual woman?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
happened,
Or I have
So
several friends who are heterosexual and living with HIV, and that's one of the first questions. Like, what? So you sleep with men? Are you bi? Are you like? No, I just what? And two of my male friends were born with it. So,
mhm.
like that's a whole separate conversation.
Right. Yeah. I be feeling so bad for my poor little Andy.
Oh
My
gosh.
poor little Andy. Look, cause that really is that dude, like you say, that is one of the questions. Like it's like, okay, I was born there, he might say, oh, I'm born with it.
Right,
And then
right.
people that it's like you instantly shut them up, but it's like, you really thought something else? Like,
Yeah, yeah. And it's like even and I still feel like even when they say it, people are still like, okay.
yeah.
It's like you don't even give me a chance to tell my own story, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
All right, sis. So, we got a couple more minutes. So, what is one last thought that you want to leave with everybody that's watching live right now and people that are going to watch this replay?
I would say that I put up a post yesterday asking what people's opinions are when it comes to HIV, like why are people still being diagnosed with HIV? A lot of people said stigma, um, and then one person said because it doesn't look as bad as it used to. So I think that's a very important point to highlight is that, and I hate this term, but just for lack of better terms, HIV is a double-edged sword. So right now, yes, it doesn't look as bad as it used to because of the advances in medication and things like that. But I feel like the social stigma around HIV is still really bad, and it's
Right.
to me it's worse in certain circumstances if you look at it in certain ways. Um, so it's kind of like, people look at it from the outside looking in, like, yeah, but you're doing good. You got a husband, and he's negative, and you have kids, and you got a business. Da, 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 da. So maybe it's just not as bad. No, it's still bad. I still struggle with my medication. I still don't want to take medicine. I still don't feel like going to the doctor every however many months. I still don't feel like none of that stuff. I don't want to have to take medicine. I don't want to have to decide, okay, do I take this medicine or this medicine? Do I just want to go get the shot because I don't feel like taking pills? Like I don't feel like thinking of that stuff anymore. So thank God, I'm very grateful, very thankful that, HIV hasn't physically taken a toll on me, but the emotional toll is like has been horrible, so just y'all don't want this. If you're negative, stay
Yeah.
negative. If you're positive, find your people, find your community, find some support. You got support groups, you got virtual stuff, Google some stuff, reach out to an advocate you see. Don't be afraid to look up the hashtag HIV Advocate. Just find some people to connect with. This is not something that you want to or have to deal with by yourself.
Absolutely. I love that. I love it. All right. Well, I thank you so much for coming on here and sharing and just being so open and transparent. Shout out to Daniel again. I don't know if he's still watching or not, for popping in and checking out your wife. Look.
He's sitting over here staring at me.
I know. Look,
He was out. Now he came home and he's literally sitting here staring at me. So,
sitting there like,
so yes, yes, and please y'all connect with me. Find y'all can. I'm so easy to find. Y'all see how my name is spelled? Just look me up on all social media platforms. That's how you find me. Literally, it's Lynette Trawick,
yes.
Instagram, Facebook, Google me,
And I
whatever.
did put all the links in the comments, so they'll show up in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. I put
Awesome,
TikTok, Instagram, your website, the link to the book. So you guys make
awesome.
sure you go and get a book, autograph book. If you
Yes,
want an autograph, get it straight from that website. Okay.
yes.
Um, I'm gonna move you down real quick. Don't go nowhere. and I'm gonna close the show out. All right, you guys. So thank you again for another wonderful Lady Bird Live on Facebook here on this Wednesday. I'm sitting over here waiting on rain because I think I need another good nap for the day. So next Wednesday is going to be our last interview for this season of Lady Bird Live on Facebook. All right. Next week, I'm going to be sitting down with my girl. Listen, Miss HIV across her forehead, Miss A's across her forehead, Raquel McCray. Listen, she a pistol, y'all. I'm just gonna put it out there. She is nothing to play with. You may have seen her on TikTok and on Facebook. She will take it and put it right across her forehead, and she has no shame about it. We are going to sit down and talk with her. She actually is in a marriage with someone who has an AIDS diagnosis, not actively going through AIDS, but has had an AIDS diagnosis for many, many years, well over 20 years. So we're going to sit down and we're going to talk to Raquel, and she's going to tell us about her journey being someone who's negative, and also being an advocate and being an ally for this cause. So make sure you tune in on next Wednesday when we do that. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I am going to be out of here. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.